Hello everybody, my name is Manues and welcome to another Eternal Drafts. Today I got something a little different going. I have a friend of mine, Philip aka randombauer, joining us. He's a long-time TCG player himself. He's played a lot of Magic, qualified for his first Pro Tour with one of the old Magic PTQs, and has been crushing Magic Online Limited for a long time. Ended up in the top 50 a bunch in the drafters rankings and stuff like that. Had a really high draft ranking on Magic Online for a long time, and he also is playing Eternal for quite some time now, mostly drafting, and he is doing about as well here as you would expect from someone with that record. He just got the Draft Master this season, like 2 days ago, and easily ranked in at ninth 2 days before the end of the season when it is pretty tight up there. Just from like his run to Masters, and he didn't even like do that many drafts to get there. So that's pretty impressive, and I thought he can certainly teach me a couple things about draft, and even more so my audience. So I asked him to join us for draft and discuss some picks with us and explain some of his thoughts and opinions on uh, the format and limited in general, to see where he like differs from what I know and think I know and do, and help me get better in draft, because while I'm not bad at draft, it's definitely not my strong suit. Alright, let's jump into the draft. Also,
Yeah, I
Philip.
want to say hello to everyone.
Alright, so let's jump into the draft and see what we got. Alright, so this is kind of an interesting pack, I would say, in the sense that there's like no clear first pick, right?
Me, the first pick would be the Wasp.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's
And it's
arguably the strongest card, but just meant like there's like no super outstanding pick, so
okay, not super outstanding, but still easily the best card.
alright. Yeah, I mean, I agree, the Wasp is probably the best card, just like no pack, like the ones where you have that like outstanding clear pick where it's like, oh, this card's like really good. It's just a pretty weak first pick, basically. But yeah, let's take the Wasp. And I mean, I guess the best card is like by far the bat in this pack, right?
That's right.
But it's kind of like a weird pick with the Wasp, but I mean, this early it's fine to just be surfing in a 4-pack draft format, right?
That's right, and it's the color I like. Could argue for the finest hour, but the bat is just powerful.
Yeah, I mean,
Sustain
it's
20
close to a
turns, yeah.
bomb as far as uncommons go, right?
I would not say it's bomb, but it's a pretty solid income.
Alright, let's take the bat. I mean, we're probably gonna abandon one of the two
Easy
cards.
to remove the bet. Sometimes if you want to have constant drafts, sometimes they just have a solution for your 6-drop. There are many cheap solutions like Lightning Strike or Torch.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a good card.
It gets answered by a lot, that's true. Strike, Torch, Annihilate, it gets covered by a lot of cards. Alright, so this pack is like offers us a bunch of options, I would say, right? I mean, we could go like deeper into time with Acolyte, or maybe even Wisp, but that's probably a bit weaker than Acolyte, or we could go deeper into like the Shadow route with like a more Feln-like pick, like Lightning Strike or Cloak. This is kind of an interesting pack, I would say, so let me know what your thoughts are on this.
First, if it's the white card, it should be the Acolyte.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I wouldn't consider the Wisp there. The Lightning Strike would be fine too, but I would pick the Acolyte because it's the flexible pick. You can splash something later, or maybe still end in green-white, or have a multicolored deck.
So you basically think it's between Acolyte and Strike, and Acolyte is like the slightly better pick?
Yeah, it's a slightly more flexible pick.
Just on that note, in general, what do you think about like Xenon, like basically being like off like supported faction combinations right now?
I like it. Okay, I usually try to dodge green and red, so there's not much left.
Okay, but you think like Xenon, for example, is definitely an option in draft?
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
And well, okay, big is done. I was still thinking about the lightning strike because, but the acolyte is still a better pick. That's really close.
Just because you think Felon is better than time with what we got right now and the options time provides?
Also, the Wasp doesn't force us into time.
Yeah, because it's such a mediocre pick.
I wouldn't say it's a mediocre, but it's still a good card.
Alright, fair enough.
I hear that you maybe underestimate the Wasp a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's possible. Alright, so
next pick.
This is kind of a weak pack for what we have so far.
Okay. Your card quality, the torch is outstanding, sure.
Yeah, I mean...
But the color is too far away.
Yeah, it's
but
like...
Still, we have the acolyte, maybe you can... Sometimes also splash a red card. Okay, so we could pick the Grunt, because it's the in-color option to play green-white in the end, or...
You are not a big fan of taking Initiate like as an on-color card here?
Oh no. Sometimes it's a card that K, and I don't like to pick it that early. If you want to have some, you usually get them.
Yeah, that's fair. I might like them a little too much because I pick them fairly highly usually. I like the acceleration, but I might be like overrating it.
In my first week's drafting, I did that too, because I think if you played Magic, it looks like a real powerful card. But here I was a little bit disappointed after playing it sometimes.
The impact is just like not as high, you're saying, in this specific format, so it's more like of a format thing?
Yes.
Or would you say it's like a game thing in general?
Well, you could argue it's a format reasoning, but the game just doesn't have that much cards right now. So the actual format, the format right now, is kind of the game.
Yeah, I meant like in the sense of, in the terms of the game dynamics. Because I think like from the game dynamics they are similar enough to Magic that in a vacuum acceleration should be as good as in Magic. So it should only be like potentially worse on like an format specific angle of like acceleration not doing enough powerful things in the specific format that we have right now.
Yes, that if you argue it that way, it's correct. It's the format we have right now in draft.
So
the initiative sense isn't that good, but still playable. I would.
Should we lean towards the Grunt then?
I'm still thinking between the Torch and the Grunt, but the Grunt is the right pick because we have a green color friendly option, and maybe we end up playing green-white or green-white something else.
Yeah, I also like Torch. It's just not the most impressive splash, and I think it's at best gonna end up a splash at this point, most likely.
Yes.
Alright, so I agree on that. Alright, this is like a pretty weak pack. We could take the Stranger to like further go down the Combrade route.
Good, we could also pick the Wisp and maybe end up in a 3-color control deck, but it looks like we won't be seeing much blue. Stranger should be the right pick, and should not rate the bet too highly now.
So we just go with the Stranger.
The Stranger.
For consistency.
Yes.
Alright. That seems reasonable to me.
Overall, bad draft start.
Yeah, I mean, I guess here we just take another Grunt, right?
Ooh.
And I'm gonna be sad to pass up on 2 shinies. But yeah, the Grunt is a good enough pick to give up on the shinies. That's like a pretty late Rebel Sharpshooter, by the way. I think. I mean, I think it's like the 3rd best red common, right? Like after Torch and Oni Ronin.
That's reasonable, but
Been pretty impressed by that card overall.
overall you see them pretty late, I would say.
It's kind of a common staple, basically. Alright, so that's also a pretty late Serpent Trainer. But I guess
pretty late.
But I guess
But
we
now-
want to like go with the Soldier.
We're too deep in green to pick the trainer. We should pick the soldier.
I mean, we could still potentially like.
Yeah.
Trainer is kind of splashable, right?
No.
Think it's too weak of a splash.
If you splash something else in blue, sure you can splash him too, but not powerful splashing on its own.
Yeah, I think in that light then it makes sense to take the Soldier because the Soldier is actually like a pretty good 2-drop.
But still, we could argue that we are still surfing, if we are not too deep in green, but if we pick the soldier and go in the green route.
Yeah, I mean Soldier is a great 2-drop.
It's a great 2-drop.
Yeah, and here we have a pretty easy second stranger, I would say.
Yes.
That's a very late Sharpshooter and a pretty empty pack.
And you should pick him. Maybe he will end up in a 3-color deck with a good card.
Plus, I mean, there's also like the off chance that we gonna be like Recano instead of Combre. Because most of the cards we picked are playable in Recano. Especially if we keep getting cards like this for free at the end. I guess here we take the banner, since even if we are Recano, we probably don't want Fire Rifle. And if we're like multicolor, it's also gonna be nice to have that. That is a pretty good card, but not really one we are interested in anymore, right?
Right.
So it's probably gonna be Sentry.
Pack is bad pack. Yeah, Central is a good card. Sure. In color, good card.
Yeah, better than Avenger.
Oh, much better.
And the rest is just way worse, obviously. Yeah, and that's a pretty easy Sauropod, right?
Sure.
Also great with our grunts.
The Sauropod is a spoiler.
Yeah, it's like an uncommon spoiler.
This is a real uncommon spoiler.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess this is like the pack where we take the initiate. At this point. You can kind of hide those.
Yes, but still a sad pick.
Yeah, it's a sad pick, but I mean, there's nothing really splashable. I mean, I guess we could also take Detain as like a trick.
Splashable. I'm thinking about the strike because we already have great fixing. Just picked 40 cards. Could easily end up in green, white, blue. And still, I usually don't want to play it.
So you think we should take strike?
The potential of the strike is just better. Right, yeah. I
Alright.
would pick the strike.
Alright, let's take the strike. Alright, so then we just take the strike here as like an option to keep our options open. Oh, that's a pack with a couple of interesting options. I mean, I think the reasonable cards to consider are like Chaplain, Avenger, maybe Instinct, and Grunt. So the interesting question is like to rank them. I mean, is Chaplain the best of the 4? Like, I'm not sure how to evaluate Chaplain, honestly.
I actually didn't play the new Chaplain in draft yet.
And I assume you didn't like the old one much.
True. She's obviously much better. But I still like the Grunt.
Also, you like Grunt better than Avenger, for example?
It's a question of the curve. But we're still early, and 2-drops should be rated very highly.
I mean, we have 5 2-drops right now, though.
We have 5 2-drops, but if we stay 2-color, we would always play the Grunt over a Stranger.
That's true. Grunt is pretty good. And you think Instinct is just like not good enough at this point?
Yes. I wouldn't consider him at this point.
Yeah, I mean, in this deep pack, I would have probably not been likely to take it either, but just wanted to like get a feel for like how high you rate it in general. But it's interesting that you like kind of like the Grunt over the Avengers, especially given that we have no 4-drops, and it's kind of a unique 4-drop for Combre.
That's what I said. It's the question of curve, and right now we are still early, but we have the 5 2-drops, as you said, and we have enough 3-drops, so the 4-drop should be the right option, considering that all 3 cards are pretty close on power level.
That's how I felt a bit, that they are kind of close enough to a point where I wouldn't be fully confident in ranking them. Okay, so we agree on the Avenger then?
Yes.
Slightly above the Grunt because we already have a bunch of 2s, and if we had less 2s we would take the Grunt over the Avenger.
Yes.
Alright. Okay, this is... Also we get rewarded with, I guess, another free 2-drop if we so desire. Is it like worth considering Renegade Valkyrie at all at this point? Probably not impressive enough as like a potential splash.
Maybe you did hide the red cards too early.
I mean, there's the fighter and the sharpshooter still. But we have like the Twin Brute Sauropod.
We have the strike shown, and we have the shooter and the fighter, so it's still an option. And I don't see us playing 3 Combre Strangers.
Yeah, I mean, that's the question, like how likely are we to play the third over like giving us more options with taking the Valkyrie. So I would lean towards taking the Valkyrie just because the Stranger is not likely to end up in our deck anyways.
Yes, that's reasonable.
Alright. Then let's keep that option open. Alright. I think Avisaur is so good, especially given that we have Sauropod and the Splash enabler, that at this point we probably just want to pick it as like a splash, because I think it should be a good enough splash potentially. Especially given how weak the rest of the pack is. Like Refresh and Detain are like okay-ish tricks, but not great.
And still, it's not a pick for a splash, maybe a splash, but I'm still considering to end up a 3-color deck.
Yeah, or just like in a 3-color deck. Plus, I mean, there could be like ornamental daggers that we pick up that get Warcries from our grunts and stuff that we can like copy with this. There's like a couple of things that we can still get that make this even better.
Sure, it's just a great card.
Alright.
And the rest.
So this pack is great, except it's not great for us. But we might consider like Annihilate as a splash over like Ancient Lore. What do you think?
Right now, I would not consider another color as splash.
Your voice is cutting out there, like for some reason your connection is bad.
Test 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, now I can hear you again. Alright, so what did you say regarding the Annihilate?
I don't think we will try to splash another color. So our options, our base will be green-white. Maybe we will add red or blue. And the edge class a fight card. You could always play it. So I would pick the Ancient Law.
Yeah, that is fair and interesting, I guess. I mean, I could have seen myself taking the Annihilate as a potential splash here. But I get the reasoning.
Acolyte. Maybe if we would have other sorts of fixing, I would consider it too.
Alright. So here I guess it's probably just Tinker Apprentice. Like, how much do you like that card?
I don't like it.
You don't think it's very playable?
Yes. For me it's close to not playable.
Outside of an aggro deck, but because we think like in a Recano aggro deck it's actually pretty good. Or like pretty
Okay.
solid at least.
Outside, okay. I'm usually trying to draft kind of controllish decks, and I try to don't play green or red. So for me, I usually don't pick it. And one refresh is a fine card.
Yeah, and at this
Not
point we are
great.
not likely to be playing red, so we don't want another guerrilla fighter.
After the pick of the Arizawa, it should be more likely to be blue.
Yeah, that makes sense. Given we have Sauropod already. And I guess we just take the next Avisaur.
Yes.
That's going pretty well for us. Yeah, and this is like a whatever pack, so we just take the green card for signals.
Yes.
Since, I mean, we're not gonna play infantry in a deck like this, right?
For sure.
And fledgling is decent. Like, how much do you like fledgling? That's another one of these
That
like
is a great last pick.
Yeah, that's a great last pick. I mean, fledgling, like, it always like seemed decent and playable to me, but like it's a card where I'm like feel like I might be like over rating it slightly. What's your take on
If it
fledgling?
ends up in my deck, I'm not happy with my deck.
Okay, so you usually try to you usually cut it from your better decks.
Yes.
Okay, then I probably slightly overrated it because I felt like it's a fine filler so far, but wasn't sure if that's like a correct assessment. Alright, so that's once again a good pack, except not that good for us. I mean, even if we end up 3-color, I think Lynx is a bit too early in the curve to want it, right?
The question is, what other picks could we get? And the Lynx is a good card.
Wouldn't
If we have the right mana power base.
Wouldn't like Frostkin be a better blue pick though for like the 3-color deck, given that it's later in the curve and similarly good? Or you think Lynx is that much better?
It's a question of our curve right now. We have solid fixing with the two strangers,
And the banner.
but we have and the banner and the acolyte. But because we want the strangers, we don't need the links. We maybe want more strangers now.
Yeah, like Elysian Strangers.
Yes, and you're right. The Frostkin is the pick.
And I guess you like it better than Initiate and Aspirant as alternative options, basically.
Oh yes.
Alright. Ooh, I think that's like the easiest Carnosaur.
It's not the easiest Carnosaur ever, but
You think
still
Serpent
a
Trainer
good
is that
Carnosaur.
much of a competition? Or like Cavalry?
The cavalry would be the clear competition for me. So I think the cavalry is much better than the trainer, especially with Warcries like our two crowns
Yeah, but we have little
and
war.
ancient lore.
Yeah, I guess the lore helps a bit too. Alright. I mean, that's overall like a pretty good pack for us. I mean, there's like Trainer, Banner, Cavalry, but yeah. We take the second pick, Bomb.
The German three-color deck is much worse, but still, absolute great card.
Yeah, I guess here we take Inspire over Instinct, given that we have Daggers, Sauropod, and stuff like that. And like the 2-drops.
Yes,
Also, I know you like that card a lot.
that's true.
This is, I would boil down to like Teleport versus Banner.
For me, it's banner or form.
Oh, you like Form that much? Even
Yes.
even in like a 3-color deck?
Sure. But we don't have many good targets for the form, like the acolyte, the frostskin.
And that's kind of about it already, right?
Maybe the Avenger. The Avenger is a good target too. But still.
So we just take
have
the banner for fixing. You don't like
Yes.
to like guarantee a single teleport. I usually like having like one teleport in my time decks, at least.
Oh, sure. I usually like one too, but I like the form more. But right now we have heavy color requirements with the the three white card,
Yeah, the
time
carnage.
card. So we should pick the banner. It's the
Fair.
better pick.
Yeah, I mean, it's important if you can draft 3 colors, but if you do, you have to like prioritize fixing enough to make up for it.
Yes.
And yeah, this is like a pretty empty pack for us. So I guess we just take the Illuminator on the off chance that we want to somehow play it.
Yes, it's one of the better red splash cards, but still
Alright.
not likely.
This is a great pack for us again, and I guess it's gonna be Hatchling over Trainer, given that we have 2 Abyssors, some Warcry,
Sure.
and Ancient Lore.
The 2 Arizaurs, it will always be the Escher card.
Yeah.
Over.
Alright.
And even in the empty pack, if we didn't pick any cards yet, I would pick the Hatchling over.
So even without the synergies, you think Hatchling is a better card than Trainer?
Yes.
Okay.
Because we will be able to pick synergies later.
Fair enough. And what's like at the end of the draft without synergy cards if you have no chance to get more synergy cards?
The question of the curve.
So
If
you think they are that
drops,
close
I
that
would
you...
pick the Hatchling. If you need a 4-drop, I would
Okay.
pick the 4-drop.
Because usually like Trainer felt a little better to me than Hatchling, just because like the 2-1 making them like kind of fragile and a lot worse when they can't attack, for example, and easier to not be able to attack profitably than the Trainer's 2-2s.
Maybe you overrate the Trainer a little bit.
That is possible. I guess here we just take the Watchwing, which is decent, giving us more
Yes.
Warcries. Like, how much do you like that card? It's another one of those cards where I had like a little bit of mixed feelings about, because it's kind of like so like low impact for like a 3-drop, but the Warcry can do a lot of work.
In a good deck, I cut them sometimes.
But they
Don't
usually
play
make
the
your deck.
variety, but usually they end up in the deck.
I think I probably cut them a lot of the time before the fledgling, so that probably gives you an idea of like how I slightly overrate this and slightly underrate this, probably in relation to each other.
Yeah, usually I cut the fledgling earlier.
Alright. I guess here we just take the Adventurer. Since
Yes.
Stranger doesn't seem great as like a 3-3 without Stranger synergies.
Don't see us playing the Adventurer.
You think it's not gonna make it? Interesting. Alright.
I don't think so. We have many cards.
I mean, we guess just take the...
Many better 2-drops. Or many 2-drops we need more, like the Strangers.
Detain. Refresh number 2. Chaff.
Refresh number 2 won't make the cut.
Yeah, I just
Who knows?
removed it. So I guess here we have the Hatchling over Trainer again.
Sure.
Over Seal as like the third best card.
Again, please?
Over Seal as like the third best card to fix our 3 colors.
I don't like Seal to fix in 3-color cards with 3-color decks with heavy color requirements. Do we have a triple time card?
Yeah, I just figured we're gonna be heavy time anyway, so this is basically like a green-blue duo.
Okay. Before I pick it, I would look at the power costs in detail. But right now,
I mean, Hatchling is easy with the Abyssors. Alright, I mean, this is also probably a very easy Pillar of Amar in this lower deck. Or do you think Paladin is closer than I think?
Paladin is a little bit closer than you think, but still it's still a pillar.
Yeah. I mean, that card is just really great, especially in like a slower, like value-oriented 3-color deck. I mean, it's a bit heavy again with the triple time, but we're gonna be heavy time at this point.
We have it with the other cards, so it's easier to support if you have 2 cards.
Yeah, I would say we just take another Grunt with so many good Echo cards at this point.
Yeah, that's great.
With the dagger
But
and all the stuff.
still, the Stranger would be dead.
Yeah, I mean it would be
but the
great for
Grunt is
fixing,
the
but
pick.
Grunt is just so good at this point. And these cards are just
And
not
we
good.
already have solid fixing.
Yeah, we have a lot of fixing for our Combre stuff basically, so we can just play a bunch of free illusion. And now our fixing just got better with another Acolyte. And also helps us with our high drops and pillar.
The high drops, yes.
That's great. I guess it's gonna be Stalwart Shield over a second dagger, or do you think dagger is like good enough at this point that we want more than one?
Okay, that's actually a real hard pick. Both cards are great for us.
I know that this is another card that I'm probably underrating a bit and you like it quite a lot, so that's why I'm asking.
The daggers are great, but with Inspire. I mean, Warcry, so Inspire does Warcry too. We have 3 grunts, the Inspire.
Yeah, they don't work with lore, but they can be copied with our Ivysaur if they are bigger than 1/1.
Yeah, if that happens, you get really great value. I would prefer the dagger. The dagger is great with the grunts we already have.
Yeah, they also help the grunts attack for longer, right?
Yes.
Alright, I can see that. Like, without you I would have probably
Dagger is
just
the
pegged
perfect
shield
card
here.
for the grunts.
Yeah, like I basically...
With grunts, if you get the Warcries for your daggers, or the other way around.
helping you get more Warcries.
True.
Yeah. Yeah, without you I would have probably picked the shield here, but I get the reasoning for daggers and I should definitely like try them more and play them maybe a little more aggressively than I do. So that's interesting.
You could also argue for the shield, but still the daggers win.
I mean, then again, like if you look at our deck, there's nothing that is like super great with the shield, to be honest. We don't have like Brightmaid's Paladin and stuff like that.
Yes.
Since I think Paladin is like one of the best cards for shield, because then you suddenly have this like 4/6 endurance lifesteal that is like attacking on a lot of boards to gain 4, and they can never attack because you gain 4 and eat something, and it's really annoying.
Sure, the Paladin is one of the best targets. But still, something like the Watchwing is okay too.
Alright, I think here it's just the Stranger over the Teleport, and like Longsword is not really a consideration, right?
No, Longsword isn't a consideration.
Yeah, I think Longsword is like a Rakano aggro only card.
So the sword is just straight up worse than the daggers, and we already have 2 daggers.
Do you play this outside of like Rakano aggro? I basically don't play that card much anymore outside of like Rakano aggro decks.
It happened, but I don't want it to happen.
So it's like an okay filler in Combre sometimes too, you say?
It's a filler.
Alright. So
I
we
wouldn't say okay.
So we take the Stranger over Teleport then.
Show me the lands, please, again. We already have
2 Combre banner.
2 banners. Yes. Yeah, take the Stranger over Teleport. We have 2 Acolytes, 2 Stranger, 2 lands. We could another Stranger.
Alright. So that's another easy banner just to make our fixing even better. We have the greatest fixing in the world.
Now we have a real great fixing, yes.
It's pretty incredible. Whoa, that's like banner versus second side, but we have to take second side here, right? Our fixing is unreal at this point, and we have enough echo stuff.
True. We have a great amount of echo stuff.
Yeah. And even like Warcry echo stuff, reshuffling with second side is pretty impressive. I don't think we want 3 daggers though, right? Or do you think we want 3?
Daggers anyway, and decided during deck building.
Alright, fair. 1 Dispel. Nice pickup, I guess, for a deck like this.
Always great to have one.
We're not gonna play Snowslinger, so I'll just pick Detain just in case we want it.
Both cards won't make the cut, but yes.
And Hamburg as the last pick. Alright, so put in the third dagger for like deck building decisions. No detain, I think. None of these. All the blue cards. Alright. So that's the card. So just adding like some power. Like how much power would you play with a deck like this? 17, 18?
I would never play 18 power because we have 2 acolytes, so...
Yeah, but given this that we are 3 colors, and that we have cards like Pillar and Carnosaur, I could see myself playing 18 plus 2 acolytes. In this also simply because you need to hit 3 to play your acolytes. If you don't hit 3, if you're stuck on 2 and have an acolyte, it's not gonna help you. But yeah,
Thank you. Sometimes you have these grindy games where you need the value of the 1 extra card. And 17 lands and 2 acolytes should be enough. And the argument for the 3-color deck isn't that good because we have real great fixing.
yeah, that's true.
So
we get enough sources in 17, I guess. Alright.
Easily.
So we have to cut 3 cards basically if we are on 17. So I guess we're gonna cut the Adventurer, as you said. Or do we like want to keep that around? I mean, we have a lot of tools.
Check again the whole deck before we start cutting cards. Okay, sure. We have too many 2-drops, and the Bold Adventurer is the easy cut.
Yeah, since we need the fixing. Normally I would cut a Combre Stranger here over like a Stranger over the Adventurer, but in a 3-color deck we can't do that.
Sure, actually we could maybe argue for it because our fixing is that good, but...
Yeah, I mean we really have like a ton of Combre fixing.
Yes.
And our blue cards are all kind of like not necessary on curve. They are also good that they are good at like any state in the game, more or less.
Okay, and 3 daggers might be 1 dagger too much.
Yeah, that seems very reasonable, especially given how much competition there is from like other good cards in the deck, basically.
Yeah, that's the point. If we had other cards to cut, I wouldn't mind playing 3 daggers in this deck.
Yeah, is the strike like good enough to bother with?
We don't.
I mean, while our fixing is good.
It's always a good card. Usually, I play the strike. Yes, you play the strike.
Yeah, I just wondered, like, even though our fixing is good, that it, like, every card less that we can play less in our 3rd color makes our deck more consistent.
No, first off, we want to play heavy 3-color. We have the hatchlings, we want to be able to cast them turn 3.
Yeah, that's fair.
And the strike is always solid. Usually you just don't want to cast it turn 2, sometimes you do, but it's still pretty good mid-game.
So it's a later drop than the hatchling, so while we want the blue turn 3 for hatchling anyway, we can usually cast Lightning Strike as well.
Yes.
Alright. So, I mean, like, Refresh is kind of like the best possible option to cut, aside from like a Combre Stranger maybe. Like, I mean, we could really cut Combre Stranger.
Any other combo tricks?
Yeah, that's like the thing.
But usually you don't make a mistake cutting Refresh, but I still like to play one, if possible.
Yeah, I mean, we only have 1 double green card, so I could see us cutting a Combre Stranger.
Okay, let's check again. We have 3 banner, 3 Stranger.
Yeah, like the other thing that I want to point out about the Combre Stranger is they are kind of bad green fixing because we want turn 2 green for Grunt, and Combre Stranger doesn't do that. And once we have a turn 2 green for Grunt, we only need a second green for one card. So Combo Stranger is kind of not the greatest fixing for what our deck wants, because we are heavy combo early on.
It's true, but it's also fixing our triple time power.
Yeah, but we're gonna be heavy time
requirements.
anyway, because we don't have double costs otherwise, and we have like acolytes that we need to play, right?
Sure, but you don't want to. Maybe you don't want to search another time card, time power with the acolyte. But you could argue we have the two Corpus Ranger have some problems. Not only the Grunt, the soldier is also a green card.
Yeah, and we have kind of a lot of 2-drops still for a deck like ours that isn't that aggressive.
But okay, we have. If we just look at the power, we have like 6 extra power plus the 2 acolytes.
Yeah, we have 6 extra influences and 2 acolytes.
Okay, you could. Yeah, you can cut the Combo Stranger.
Yeah, also, one question that I'm curious about is like, why do you like Argentport Soldier more than Bold Adventurer in this deck, especially in like a less aggressive deck?
I'm actually thinking right now about the soldier. Usually the soldier is just better card.
Because it also seems more impressive with our daggers, the Adventurer. Kind of.
That's true, and it's easier to cast. If we consider that we have still one Combo Stranger and all other 2-drops need green mana, it would be better to have 2-drop using white.
So you agree with me that in a deck like this, Bold Adventurer might just make more sense than the 3-2? Because the 2-3 is better
Yes,
blocker.
but usually I prefer the 3-2.
Why? I mean, like in an aggressive deck, it's obvious why, but like in a like more mid-rangey to controlling value-oriented deck, why is the 3-2 like the offensive stats still better than the better blocker basically? Since I mean there's so many things like
able to block the big guys your enemy have.
I mean there's Less Ray Ranger, there's Yeti, Snowslinger, there's Strangers, there's a lot of 2-power units that just kind of like run themselves dead in a Bold Adventurer that trade with an Argentport Soldier. That's why I usually
Sure, like I said, the Bold Adventure is better early blocker, but in mid game you usually get more value out of the 3-power card if you want to block with 2 guys, 1 big enemy guy. Sometimes you're missing block power because your 2-drops all just do 2 damage, and 1 2-drop with 3 damage helps a lot.
And I think that's more valuable than locking down the ground early usually, if you are not planning on attacking much.
It's a question what kind of deck you have. This kind of deck, we already have that many 2-drops that we...
You cut out there.
Oh, sorry. Didn't push the button right. I still think it's very close in this kind of deck. But yeah, your argument is right. Bold Adventure in this deck with daggers. In addition, 2-drop mana problem. The Bold Adventure is better card.
Yeah, I mean I just don't see us beating down, I just see us winning with like value.
Okay, it's not about beating down, sometimes it's really about the value in other blocks. Sometimes it just needs another creature dealing 3 damage instead of 2, and you have better block options in the mid game.
Alright. Interesting. So last we have to like build our influence.
Sometimes you have real problems getting down a 5 toughness guy. If you only played all those 2 power guys.
Alright. So we gotta like build the influence. This is just like random what the algorithm suggested, not what we gonna go with. So we have like 9, 11, 11 time. That's that could be less if we need more elsewhere, right? But it's not bad to have 11 given we have two double things. And we have like two triple and some double.
And two acolytes.
And we have acolytes that we want to hit for sure, and also acolyte can act as backup time for these. So counting these, we have 13 time for like our double time and upwards, and 11 time for our single time.
Maybe it's a little bit too much. Let's focus on the other cards first.
Yeah, so for Justice we would have 7, 8, 10. Which is a bit low given that we want Grunt turn 2 and Acolyte doesn't even help there in Combat Stranger, so we have like only 7 for turn 2, so I would say we want at least one more Justice, maybe 2.
Okay, usually if I build my power base, I cut it this way that all powers are even. From that point I'm looking like what do I need more and make the cuts after that. Like if you balance everything now, I usually start building the power after that.
So yeah, I mean like for Primal, like how much like Justice do you think we need? Like do you think 8 is enough or like 9? Like I would lean towards 9 with the Grunts because we really want to get them out on 2. Like we have actually even not 9, we have like 8 turn 2 Justice for the Grunts.
Give me a moment.
Alright, so and for Primal we would have like 5, 7. Like this way we would have 10, 8, 7. Or like 12, 8, 7 if we count the Acolytes for time too.
You can't count the acolytes time, but
I meant in terms for time for like Sauropod and these two because they are multiple time and Acolyte counts for like double and triple time.
10, 8, 7. You said we have 10, 8, 7.
Yep.
That's not true. Oh?
10. Like 8, 10. 12 if we count those for like multiple time. 5, 8, 9. Oh, it's like 9 total, like 11 total. But only like 8 for turn 2. So it's like 11 total Justice. But like 8 for the turn 2 Grunts. And 7 total Primal.
I think it's not enough primal. If you're counting the acolytes with full value, it's too hard to cast the hatchlings just turn 3.
That's true, but I mean, isn't like the turn 2 Grunt more important than the turn 3 Hatchling?
I'm actually thinking about if it's possible to cut one time sigil.
Yeah, I mean, we could consider cutting one time because we have the Acolytes virtually helping with the multi-time costs.
And we have to inspire, so
I could see this.
usually that's an option, yes.
That seems reasonable to me because it gives us 7, 9, 11 for the double and triple time, and 9 for the early time, and like 9 is kind of like a normal standard for like main color.
Yes. Or could just go to the Combat Stranger and cut the Bold Adventurer again to have a more more stable mana base again.
Yeah, the problem is that
Maybe
Stranger
it's easier
doesn't.
to play the Primal Sigil.
That the Stranger is like almost half off color in the sense that it doesn't fix our grunt, so it doesn't really allow us to lower our justice sources because we want.
Yeah, but it also fixes the time sources, like Ancient Lawton. To be able to cast Ancient Lawton for cast the Sauropod And don't be forced to search time with Amber Acolyte.
Do you think?
Sometimes you can't cast the Grunt turn 2, but still you get your green mana fixed, so you can cast him turn 3. But sure isn't perfect, but better than not being able to cast him.
Alright, that's fair. Let's try that. Alright, so that's what we settle on then?
Yes.
I mean, the grunts kind of serve a similar role as Bold Adventurer, to be fair, since as like a 3 health 2-drop, they kind of block similarly good, if we have to.
Yes.
So we still have like a bunch of 3 health 2-drops to block 2/2s and stuff. Alright, so that's the deck. Gonna lock it in like that. Looks pretty good. Lots of power, really good power base and influence. See you in a moment with the first half of the games. Stay tuned.